everyone, Luke here. Hope you're doing well. And this video, I'm going to talk about a coin I've been accumulating lately that I want to talk about. That is Theta token. Okay. You may or may not have heard about this token. Okay. It's I think it's around like 50th in market cap. So it's it's in the top 100. So there is some liquidity, but not as much compared to like Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum or something like that. Okay. So there's a lower market cap coin, but I think it's got a great opportunity. And I had some epiphanies about Theta that I wanted to share with you guys, okay? So, first of all, there's two different major types of blockchain, right? So there's proof of work, or POW, and there's proof of stake, right? Which is POS for short, okay? So you got proof of work, proof of stake, okay? So one thing that helped me understand the use case of Theta was thinking it in terms of proof of work, but instead kind of thinking of proof of internet, or like proof of bandwidth. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So proof of work means that energy is required to mint the coin. Okay, so the most common one we know of, the biggest, Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin, it is mined. Okay, and you need energy to mine the coins. So we can also think of Bitcoin as a energy transfer mechanism. Okay, so in an energy transfer mechanism, what I mean by that is that, let's say you have a hydroelectric dam in rural China, and it's for whatever reason it's not connected to the grid, but you have the ability to generate energy. Okay, what you can do is you can take a Bitcoin miner, because it's proof of work, and you can mint new Bitcoins. Okay, using that hydroelectric power. You can then take those Bitcoins that or have economic value. You can sell them on the open market for energy. So in that way, Bitcoin becomes a energy transfer mechanism. It's almost a currency of energy, because you can harvest excess energy, mine the Bitcoin, mint Bitcoin, sell the Bitcoin then on the open market for energy, and basically becomes a way to harness energy. It's almost like a battery, and that's an important use case of proof of work, right? So another place they're doing this is, for instance, fracking in places like Texas. They have so much natural gas as a byproduct from fracking for oil that they're just getting rid of it. And so these companies now have natural gas generators, and they're taking all that excess natural gas and they're mining Bitcoin with it. Okay, so it's really interesting. You can do that. Proof of stake is the other major one, where instead holders of the token basically verify the network and secure it instead of energy. So Theta, instead of an energy transfer mechanism, it transfers bandwidth. Okay, so it transfers excess bandwidth, or internet, bandwidth. Now this is really interesting, because what Theta does is, if you have high-speed internet and you're not using all the data, you can basically earn Theta, okay? Or in the Theta ecosystem, I believe you earn T-Fuel, which is like a sub-token of Theta, how the network works, okay? And so it becomes kind of like an internet transfer protocol, whereas Bitcoin becomes an energy transfer protocol, okay? So if I have Theta, right, or not Theta, but let's say, instead of, we gave the example of the rural hydroelectric dam in China, or fracking or whatever. Let's say I'm right near a optical cable place, right? So in some places, like I think like Austin, Texas, they have really high speed internet now, where it's like Google Optics, where instead of the traditional landlines, they're actually using optical fibers, and it's like 1,000 times faster or something. I don't know. And let's say you live in one of these hubs, right? And you have access to really high-speed internet that other people don't, and you're not using all of it, and you want a way to monetize that excess bandwidth. You can monetize it by earning Theta or T-Fuel or whatever on the network. I think you should earn T-Fuel, okay, which is a token on the Theta network that you can then you can sell for whatever, okay. So you can earn, but the most important thing is that you're earning monetary value. So in the proof of work use case we gave, you're earning Bitcoin, which has monetary value. Okay, so in the using the Theta network, you can earn monetary value for that excess optical cable bandwidth, and then you can sell it on the open market, right? And you can earn money for it, and it becomes a way to monetize your excess bandwidth. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. That's a really important, interesting use case, and it opens up a lot of not only use cases, but it's it's a way to reduce friction in a lot of ways. Okay, because I think of Bitcoin in a lot of ways as an energy transfer mechanism, and so the reason why I wanted to talk about Theta is because I had this epiphany about Theta, is that it becomes, instead of a proof of energy, it becomes an energy transfer mechanism. It becomes a bandwidth transfer mechanism. Okay, and bandwidth is something that's very prevalent in modern society. It's almost prevalent as energy. Okay, so we think of the energy grid, right? Think of all the whole energy grid, right? And how prevalent that is in our modern society and how interconnected it is, right? So we have coal, we have natural gas, coal, natural gas. We have nuclear energy, right? Nuclear, et cetera, et cetera. And then with internet, that's becoming more and more prevalent as well, right? We live in a society that's becoming more and more connected to the internet. If you think of the Internet of Things, all our smart devices, and this is so just like the amount of energy that we use is growing, the amount of bandwidth that we use is growing too. So it's a growing network, right? So they're both growing networks. And demand for energy is always increasing, okay? Because we're always going to find new ways to use energy, right? Whether it's electric cars that can go faster, farther, whether it's new devices that can harvest the energy for whatever. There's always going to be a demand for more energy as population grows, and also as the electronic things that we use demand more power, right? And then, so that's the thing is true with bandwidth, right? We're always thinking of new ways to use more bandwidth. Okay, it's a growing network as well. So if we think of, how the internet started. Okay, so how did the internet start? It's very low bandwidth. Okay, it was only text files. Okay, and then it moved on, and then we had simple social media type things like chat forums on the internet, and then it grew and grew, and then we had social media, and now you can stream. Okay, first you can stream audio. Now you can stream video. Okay, what's next? We don't know. It'll be holographic imaging or something, right? Where it'll be like someone's in your living room when you make a phone call or whatever. But the point is that the internet's a growing network, just like energy, and there's always a demand for more internet. Okay, so then we can always say there's going to be an increasing demand for the Theta network, if it succeeds, because it's a bandwidth transfer mechanism. Okay, and we can think of all the use case, all the needs of modern internet, right? So we have Internet of Things, streaming. Smart cars nowadays, you think of like the new Tesla autopilot, those are hooked up to the internet, right? So like autopilots, AI learning, okay? There's always going to be demand for more internet, because as our infrastructure gets better, and it gets cheaper, we'll figure out new things to use this more bandwidth for, right? And so we can say that there'll be a demand for Theta token, okay? So I hope that helps you guys out, and it helps me kind of wrap my mind around why there's a use case for Theta, okay? Because the answer is that there's a demand for internet, and there's a demand for monetizing excess internet that's not being used. Just like there's always going to be a market for proof of work, because there's always going to be a market for using excess energy and converting it into monetary value. There's always going to be a use case of converting excess internet into monetary value, because it provides liquidity to the marketplace, right? And it reduces friction, and it becomes a way to monetize a growing network. Okay, Yeah, and then that's not all the other great things about Theta, right? So that's not just enough, right? There's other proof of work coins like Bitcoin. Maybe in another video I'll talk about why I like Theta. Including like it's Samsung's building it. It's on all the major exchanges. It's got massive partnerships and things like that. But this is just a more technical understanding of why fundamentally I think something like Theta has economic value, okay? And that is, it has economic value to me because it can serve as a transfer mechanism of excess bandwidth, okay? So hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.